Hello guys. We are so back. बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है. And I'm so glad to be back for our very first podcast of the 2026 season of Formula One. And शायद बहुत लोगों ने एक्सपेक्ट किया था कि प्री सीजन पॉडकास्ट क्यों नहीं आया है. तो शायद एसजे जो मेरा पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू था वो शायद अभी सबको थोड़ा सा समझ आ सकता है कि हम लोगों को थोड़ा सा वेट करना था. वी जस्ट वांटेड टू वेट फॉर द फर्स्ट रेस ऑफ द सीजन एंड आई थिंक दैट वेट पेड ऑफ. वो जो इंतजार था दैट पेड ऑफ बिकॉज एज द सेइंग गोज द real answer, the bullshit stops when the flag drops. So SJ, आपको कैसा लगा the pre-season, the qualifying hype, and all the pre-season chatters and all the qualifying chatters and the race? So let's start with you. How did you feel about it?
I think the pre-season chatter was, somewhat true. Mercedes have a good straight line speed and has a good turbo. They're
Oh, they are
competitive.
monsters.
They're quick. Uh, Ferrari has a good launch from the grid during the race
The
start,
small
and they
turbo.
are also very competitive. The small turbo, yes, that is what we are calling it. Okay. So yes,
Yeah,
and considering that Red Bull also, with the Ford engine, are very good in the speed as well. Though there might be
the
questions
dark
regarding
horse.
the reliability. Yes, the Ford, because we saw how Isaac Hedjar qualified P3, correct?
I have
And
some points about it.
correct.
We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, so all those things are coming up, Even Audi had a good race. Even the Haas has had a good race, having a Ferrari engine and, all those kind of things. So, somewhat the expectation which was carried out forward from pre-season into the main race has somewhat come true. But hey, this is just the first race of the season. So, I won't let my horses out so soon.
So yeah, it was a very nice summary, and I think all the preseason chatter about Mercedes being the class of the field and all the criticisms and all the things, but one thing we have to get it right that these guys at Mercedes HPP, they are very much in tune with the trends. They know how to make a competitive engine,
But
and
then,
secondly,
but then
and
again,
second,
no, I would like to
yeah.
interrupt you here. Why I'm interrupting is because there is a what the what is circulating in the news is that they are also fiddling around with the rules also, right? Of the
Yeah,
compression
the
ratio
compression
under
ratio
the
but that
uh,
is not against the rules.
no, that
Let
is
me
not
tell you very
against the rules,
clearly.
but that is the loophole in the rule which they
They
have
have found a
identified.
loophole,
Correct?
like Red Bull found a loophole in the ground effect
Wait,
era,
wait,
and they
wait, wait. Yes,
dominated.
yes.
Yeah.
So I will not take anything away from Mercedes over here. Okay. But then I'm giving something here to the other teams who have not found that loophole. Okay.
Yeah,
See, that is
like
an
the Ferrari
advantage,
mini,
Mercedes
the
have.
Ferrari smaller turbo, the small turbo.
Yeah, I
And
I like
like
your this thing. Yeah, बहुत हो गया तो 3 बार कर लिया तूने अभी.
Now the small turbo, like everybody is innovate, everybody is applauding Ferrari's innovations throughout the preseason testing, and everybody wanted कि Ferrari ने एक अच्छा start देना चाहिए. And literally every prediction I heard about Ferrari was कि they might qualify backwards, but they will end up in the front of the field, and that's what exactly ended up happening. So I am very happy that Maranello has produced a car which is at least in the front, because the gulf I saw between the field and Ferrari and Mercedes was night and day. Like everybody was having that preseason prediction of that the big four teams will have a gulf between the midfield teams, but McLaren was in a way 35 seconds at one point of the race, I think 34 to 35 seconds behind Mercedes and Ferrari pack, and Red Bull was further behind. And I don't know what Isaac Hajar could have done, but I think the Red Bull Ford powertrain might be a dark horse of the season, because the way they are qualifying and the way that engine is responding, I think there is a very exciting prospect of a development war going on in F1 right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. I agree with you. Let's see how that turns out in the entire season. Okay. There are a lot of things that will be developed and redeveloped over the course of the season. So it will be kind
Exactly.
of a you know, a race of developments also. All right.
And one more thing I may add, we must not count out McLaren also because they have proven in the ground effect era that they can develop a car very efficiently during a season. Like
Absolutely.
if they
Yes,
are
yes.
if they are
But
starting at the back of the grid, by midway they can be a front running contenders.
correct.
Like that's what we saw in 2024 from 2023 to 24.
Correct. I agree with you. Yeah, I don't think so. There is any point in calling out any other team from top four. Mercedes
Yeah.
definitely have an advantage of the engine, and McLaren are using Mercedes engine also. So let's
Works
not
team
run
will
away from
have an inherent advantage in this engine rules change era. I think so because the works team have that pre-understanding of what the car and what the powertrain will do when they integrate the chassis and powertrains, as
I
opposed
don't
to
have the insights on that, so I will not comment whether the works team will have an advantage. They surely, like you said, they know how the engine will work. So
like F1.
they will have a head start.
No, no,
Advantage, I don't
that's
know.
what I'm saying.
Because
That's what I'm saying because they will, because F1 has mandated that the manufacturers and the customers should have the same spec engine. But the fact that Mercedes was running the latest spec engine throughout testing and the customer teams, as what I'm hearing was they were given a safer spec version for testing and for reliability purposes. And that's why the headlines came out that the Mercedes customers will be getting an engine boost. Engine booster, yeah. That's what I heard.
correct,
So,
you are right. So I mean, that is what I said. There is no advantage as such, but there is a head start.
yeah, exactly.
So there is a head
I
start.
stand.
That is the works team may have compared to what the customer team may have. Okay. But
Exactly.
see, that head start may or may not value anything, like we have seen in 2024 and 2025. Okay.
Exactly.
McLaren using the same engine were way, way, way ahead than Mercedes. Correct. Again, you will say that the rules were different, there was ground effect, falana, dinka, whatever it may be. Still,
फलाना ढिमकाना यस ये एग्जैक्टली बात
so
तो सही है
yeah, हेड स्टार्ट है बस उतना ही बोल सकता हूँ मैं. There is no
और
clear
कुछ
cut
भी
advantage as such.
बट आई थिंक seeing the race today as it panned out, it was a race of two halves. Like the start of the race was as chaotic as everybody would have expected, like overtakes left, right, and center. And the second half of the race was like Mercedes just stretching their legs and just stretching because of that infamous strategy call, which we will get to later. But I think we need to talk about qualifying because we saw many drivers getting caught out, and the most prominent one being Max Verstappen. And he highlighted an issue which is very inherent in these new generation of cars, which is torque overpowering. Like when the driver is turning the car, he gets a sudden burst of torque overpowering, which spins the rear axle much more the driver would have liked. And that results in a crash as severe as when we saw with Max Verstappen and with PS3 when we'll talk about him in the later season. So, what do you think? This thing, if will they be able to get over it in the next few races, or will it be a thing of a long term?
So yes, what you are asking is absolutely right. Not asking, sorry. What you're saying is absolutely right. But the point is that issue was never surfaced, in preseason testing to anybody, or might be to one or two person, because such a big incident on the torque power, whatever the name you said, I cannot recollect it.
Yeah,
So
torque spike.
torque spike, yeah, that's the word. So torque spike hasn't been reported with to anybody. So it might be an issue, underlying issue with Red Bull or somebody like that, or maybe something Verstappen did, while going through, and he had some options available to him because of which this happened. So Out of 22 cars, only he had this issue. Nobody else.
Okay, but then Piastri also went out on colder tires, and then he also said that he had a massive spike in power because he realized that he had 100 kilowatts more power. And he said this in the post-race comments. Like I had 100 kilowatts of power more.
More. So that is what
Yeah,
I'm saying. There
I
might be some setting on the steering wheel, which which may be required to turn off, turn on, or lower, or something like
exactly.
that. See, there might be a lot of ifs and buts because this technology is new, right?
There are many
Correct.
new things to learn from this
Yeah, yeah.
regulation.
But
That's for
then,
sure.
yeah, but then if it is something which is a default behavior, then why isn't it surfaced in pre-testing? Why only it is happening in qualifying? In the
Maybe
entire
Melbourne
race,
is a very
yeah,
maybe Mel energy staffed circuit. Like drivers are pushing like hard to
we don't know what
get
exactly
heats.
caused that particular issue, right? That is my point.
Like
What
yeah,
I'm trying to say.
that's right. That's right.
Correct.
And so now let's get on to the race itself, the main event,
No,
as everybody.
before we go to the main event, I would just like to mention few qualifying results which were quite a surprise for
Superstars.
me. Superstars, yeah. For example, George's lap was awesome.
Yeah,
Was almost half a second ahead of the uh, Antonelli, right? And
that lap was near perfect.
correct, near
I must
perfect lap,
say. I
correct.
must say.
Yeah. And then, the lap of Charles Leclerc or uh, uh, Isaac Hedjar, who were three and then four and like that, it happened. So it was quite interesting what happened over there. And then because of the crash, if you see the Max Verstappen qualified right at the back, right? But
Yeah, exactly.
eventually, this new rules and regulations, has somewhat brought this group very close at this point of time, right? Because of the resetting of the rules. Again, what I would like to shout out is Bortolotto's performance in Audi. Okay. Now, here, I would like to bring a stark contrast or like to add a point over here is now people would be saying that Audi is much better engine than Ferrari because Cadillac could not go through could not come out of Q2, Q1 itself, and they were not to this thing. So here, what people have to understand is that Audi was a pre-existing team. Okay,
Exactly.
so the
It was sour
mechanics,
under
the
the skin.
engineers, they are all used to how F1 functions. Okay,
They are already
and
battle hardened in
correct,
comparison to Cadillac,
absolutely
which is
right.
a
That
completely new team.
correct, and I'm talking about engineers, mechanics.
Yeah,
Okay, the
exactly.
pit crew. I'm talking about them. Okay, I'm not talking about the top level cream layer people. I'm not talking about them.
No, no,
Okay,
no.
so what people have to understand over here is again that Audi is Audi has taken over an existing F1 team, okay, who knows the in and out of F1, how F1 functions, what are the daily routines, and how to set up an engine, what needs to be done when, all those kind of things. On the
And they
other
have an
hand,
underrated
Cadillac,
super team.
correct, and Cadillac is a new team. It is from the bottom
Exactly.
up, right? It has grown from the bottom. It has not grown
These
from
are
the
new set
ashes of
of
the
people
previous.
working.
Correct.
These are a new set of people working together for the first time and
Exactly. Yes.
going through the grind of F1 for the very first time.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So this mechanics, these engineers, though they might be coming from a different team, they might be inexperienced people,
Exactly.
but they don't know how to work together or something,
Together.
like that. The chemistry between them, the bonding between them, all these kind of things will come up. So, and people who are expecting Cadillac to perform straight out of the blue because it is new regulations is something which is very naive to people. Okay. Formula One is a very technological aspirant as well as performance demanding sport, right? So
Exactly.
I am sure they have done their homework. They know what the targets are. Cadillac team as such, what they have done is tremendous. Okay, setting up a new team, bringing experienced drivers, having a group of people who are passionate about the sport, who knows of the sport, is something which is superb. And if you see, they have the performance was very good in the race, right? And that's what
Yeah,
we'll talk about it in
they
little
were
detail
fighting
manner.
Aston, and
Correct.
yeah.
Aston is okay. We'll talk about that.
Look,
Aston.
so basically what you're trying to say is like I always knew that a new team like Cadillac coming into the sport, they were always going to be at the last of they were always going to be last
Hmm.
because there was no way they were leapfrogging those teams who have been battle hardened, those who have run countless number of laps, they have loads and loads of data under their belt. So I think Cadillac never stood even a chance, but the fact that they were able to finish a race against the long-standing super team of Aston Martin, and they were able to fight with Audi, and yeah, Audi has scored points, but as you pointed out, that is already sour under the skin. So that is a very old race team. They know their processes, but
Correct.
they also have a very underrated super team of Mattia Binotto and Jonathan Wheatley right now.
Correct.
And that culture is seemingly paying off in that team right now.
Right.
So Cadillac has a long way to go, but I don't think they will be the teams of the 2010s, which came in the sport and they were nowhere to be seen during the race.
Correct.
Because this Cadillac has a Ferrari power unit, mind you. So they have that might be a very tiny advantage compared to the works team, but still, but the major thing which I noticed in this race was that this actually showed what a level of gulf there is between the established works teams of Mercedes and Ferrari. Like casual fans were expecting that Audi should also fight with Mercedes कि Audi ने तो आके ही करना चाहिए because they are both Germans. दोनों जर्मन है तो जर्मन वर्सेस जर्मन होना चाहिए, but they are forgetting that this is a technological sport which is based on years and years of database knowledge. You have to have the right personnel, the right work
Correct.
structures, the right systems in place to win in this sport,
Correct.
which Red Bull is showing with their Ford powertrain because that team is in itself very agile.
Right.
They are very quick in making decisions. And the second point, before moving forward from the podcast, I wanted to point out is the Red Bull rookies. Like Hajar is also a rookie in Formula One terms right now, and Lindblad. But Hajar scoring P3 in qualifying, which rarely a second driver at Red Bull does. And Arvid Lindblad's electric start. I think the Red Bull pressure cooker is the lids have been lifted off a little bit after the arrival of Laurent Mekies and all.
We will discuss
Like,
that a little bit in detail. Okay.
yeah,
So
because the whole organization seemed a little bit more youthful and more positive, even though the race didn't pan out the way they would like, but Max Verstappen still finished P6 after starting P20. So, what's to say that the Ford powertrains doesn't have a dark horse advantage lying under there? Maybe Mercedes, what Toto Wolff said about Red Bull's battery might come true when there is a much more conventional circuit where they have more recharging opportunities. But the thing is, Mercedes has an inherent advantage and Ferrari is close by. But they both are the class of the field because I think in the early days of F1 2026, there is not the big four, there is only the big two, like there was in 2019 till to 2019 or 2020.
yeah, yeah, possibly. Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah,
I think you are correct. Uh, and also I would like to for the qualifying, what was done by George Russell was, like you said, a
that
near
was
perfect lap.
phenomenal.
So it was phenomenal lap. Yes, absolutely right. And much was expected out of Ferrari again in qualifying, but the best they could get was P4 and
Exactly.
P7. So somewhat disappointed again in that. Okay. Again, the huge blow was Max Verstappen crashing out in Q1 itself, which was never expected out of it, right? So that is something which is not expected. We'll see some better performances from Max also, because
Exactly.
he's somebody who extracts that little tiny bit out of the car in qualifying. And
If a driver goes 100, Max will go 110.
correct.
That's the same.
So that's what it is. So let's see from the coming weekends or the coming races how it will be, in qualifying.
Yeah, it will be a nice thing to
Absolutely.
watch.
Yes.
And now coming on to the race starts. So, yeah, the shenanigans started right before the race starts because Piastri crashed out
Rather
during the
unfortunate.
laps.
Rather unfortunate.
Unfortunate.
This home curse for the Australian drivers never
Australian
ends.
drivers.
It was there for Mark Webber. It was there for Daniel Ricciardo, and now it is being
Oh
passed
my
on to Oscar
God.
Piastri also. I mean, this is
Daniel finished on the podium in 2014 and then he couldn't even get on the podium because he was disqualified.
uh,
And now Piastri,
is the same.
like the whole, there is something inherent in Australia or slash Melbourne, if I must say. But anyways, the race start, I think the major talking point is the Ferraris. Like from P4 to to
P1.
P1, Charles,
Yeah.
and then Lewis almost getting P3, but commendable to Hajar and Lindblad, but they both gave a heck of a fight. But I think these starts we should cherish during the starting of the season, during the first half of the season or the first quarter of the season, because the teams will get around this issue and the teams will start trumping Ferrari. But I think Ferrari, because Fred Vasseur last year only said that the starts are going to be chaotic next year. And then we see Ferrari turning up with a smaller turbo and then just blitzing the Mercedes also. But apparently, Mercedes didn't have any battery during the start, as the saying is going right now. And I need to check on that, but I think Mercedes didn't have any battery power
I'm
during the
not
start.
I'm not aware of that particular battery issue.
And secondly, the start was also ultra fast. Like if you see the pre-start procedure was for 5 seconds, and then as soon as the fifth light went out, they just went to lights out. So I think if this type of start procedure continues, Ferrari might have an inherent advantage, and it's only a matter of time that customer teams will also start exploiting that type of starts.
Possible, quite possible. But then it was a uh, very perfect start. Something which we have
Yeah,
time to get from
exactly. Like
Red
the
Bull and
way he
everybody
cut
else.
through, the
Correct.
way Charles cut through the corners and the
Right, right,
crowd.
absolutely. And we saw a highlight of that in preseason testing during the first preseason
Exactly.
testing, right? When Hamilton started something from P10
From
or
P10 to
something like that.
P11,
Yeah,
and
and
then
by
he
that
was
time, correct.
P1.
Yeah, but that was again in Bahrain, so that was a longer straight run and all those kind of things were
Well,
there.
that's an optimism point for Tifosi because if they
Correct.
were able to do that in Bahrain
Right.
testing, then they might do it in race also.
Correct.
But the thing is, I also saw a very happy Lewis in the press conference. He was very happy. He was bouncy. He had that. Satisfaction in his face. Like, yeah, the car was good, like everything was good. But the only thing, the elephant in the room, I think I should address it now because it's been too long. Why I don't know if I can swear, but क्यों कर रहे हैं? Why do they keep screwing the strategy? I don't understand. The second VSC was inconsequential because the pit lane was going to be closed anyway. But the first VSC, at least they could have, like Lewis was also saying on the radio, why are we not splitting our strategies? So I don't think that we are checking will work this time. Ferrari has to pull their pants. They have a good car, they have a good package underneath them, and they have one of the most consistent driver lineups
See,
in all of the grid.
the point is that I'll go back to 2021 Abu Dhabi.
Please don't do that.
No, no. Why I'm going over there is because, see, the strategy is based on some analysis. right? Now, what Ferrari decided was we will stick to our plan A, that is
One
our
stop.
one stop. Okay. They did not, probably their analytics, they showed that the hard tire will not last so many laps. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Especially in a dogfight scenario. Okay. Where you have to constantly push and you cannot cruise a little bit. All right.
Okay. I'll give my counter. You
Wait.
finish your point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, why I went to 2021 is now you can correlate, right? Because there is
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
analytics behind the strategy. That strategy sometimes
Exactly.
pays out, that does not pay out sometimes. Okay. This time it did not pay out. But again, again and again, if you are making the same errors based on the analytics, then it is you are making a mockery of yourself by using not using your experience in switching the strategy around and not taking bold decisions. Okay.
For sure.
Correct. So that is one thing that I would like to highlight. Yes, it was a mockerable situation for Ferrari for not taking a bold move, at least with one driver. They could have tried it with Lewis, or they could have tried with Charles Leclerc, to pit them under VSC and get something out of it. Okay. Uh, so yes, that was a little bit of mishappen done. But again, what I would like to highlight is that let's not jump the gun. This is the first race of the season. Okay. And hopefully, like the performance, what they have in the car, at the back of the car, there might be a situation where people will say that no, we have to take a bold decision and it cannot go like that. Okay. In 2025 also, when no, not 2025, 2024, right?
24. 24.
24, in when McLaren, Lewis Norris was very close to winning WTC. They made some goof ups for the strategy, where he could not win the race, or he was turned down, and eventually he lost the constructor championship. Sorry, drivers championship. Okay.
Okay.
So let's say any strategy is a risk. These are calculated risk. Sometimes the risk pays out, sometimes it does not. But if that sometimes it does not is a very prolonged manner, then it is not suitable for you as a strategist. Then you are definitely making bad calls, is what I could like to sum up with.
So now
Again,
to.
no, wait, I'm not finished.
Okay.
To
Okay.
your to
Sorry.
your another point, why Lewis Hamilton is very bubbly and very jumpy around and he's very happy
No.
Lewis. It is it is purely because he last year also I said this thing. Okay. That this is a car which Lewis has inherited it from somebody else. This is not something
Exactly.
which he has made.
He
Okay.
has made.
Yeah. He's not been involved in any kind of development activities, preseason, all those kind of things. It was not there because Mercedes had blocked that move. Right?
So basically, his DNA has been inbred in this car.
Yes, exactly. He knows this car. He has built in it. Okay. He has been there with the engineers throughout the winter vacations, throughout the winter season, and he has been there in Magnanolo in the factory, working with the team, understanding the bits
But
of it. So all these things
but do
matter.
you but do you think he likes the flat bottom cars more, or the ground effect more over the ground effect cars? Because he didn't like the ground effect regulation at all, because he sucked so badly at it. And now in the first race of the season, we are seeing an completely reinvigorated Lewis, with who is actually closing gaps and who is actually racing at the forefront.
See,
And
answer
to
answer to your question is very simple. Okay. If Lewis had been winning right from 2022 in the ground effect rules, would he be saying that I would not like these rules or I'm not comfortable with
no,
these rules?
never,
No, right?
never.
So
Like
it's simple as that.
George declared that I like this car and I like this engine. Like
Yeah. So it
everybody's
is, yeah, it is
bitching
in
and
each
moaning
and
about
every
everything.
individual liking, and at the end of the day, you like the car which is making you win,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
Like Norris said that we went from the best cars to the worst generation because he's not qualifying at the front row.
Correct.
And George is saying, I
So
like this car and I like this
yeah,
engine. So drivers will always have their differing views,
correct.
and
Right.
Drivers will drive,
So I'm not
racers will
saying that
race.
Lewis is right or Lewis is wrong.
Yeah,
Lewis has his viewpoint about a particular type of rules. Lewis
exactly.
likes a particular type, and based on individual performances,
Ba-
the story, the narration changes every time. It's
I
as simple
think
as that.
we should change the narrative as to Lewis likes the cars which he has an imprint on. Like he likes to be involved in the development process of each and every car he drives, and
Isn't the same with every
that's the
driver.
advantage he had. No, that's the advantage he had with Mercedes, because Mercedes was inherent to his liking. They made a car that was inherent to his liking. And now we are seeing the same thing at Ferrari. That Ferrari has some traits which is pushing him to do much, much better during the race days. I don't think qualifying will be much, much better for Lewis in 2026 because father time catches with everybody. We have to say that. And qualifying is one of the first traits that starts to diminish in F1 drivers at this point of age. But still, he is the first driver which hit 40 years of age and 400 GP start. No, not 40 years, but 400 GP starts, and he still managed to win a race in the Mercedes in 2024. So yeah, this year might be very exciting for Ferrari. And to say about your strategic calls, you called out AD21. I would like to call out Qatar 2025, where McLaren was in a ditto situation like this, which Ferrari was. Ferrari themselves criticized the McLaren decision, and now they are finding themselves in the same situation. So isn't that ironical? That
Not
they
ironical.
that that
I
that
think
this
it
team,
is.
the most successful team, they are fucking up the strategy, like literally effing up the strategy, and then they are saying that we wouldn't have worried. Like, yeah, Mercedes could and would have finished first because of the advantage they have, but still they should have split the strategy. Like what Lewis said, at least one car should have pit during the VSC, and the simulations will say 1,000 things, but the driver who is driving the car out on the track has an inherent feel. Lewis dragged that medium tire to 40 laps, 30 or 40 laps. I don't know the exact
35.
number, but he dragged that tire to 35 laps. Okay. But and Charles also had to
I
drag.
think
But if
25 laps, not 35, 25.
Okay, but still, instead of a 3-4, they should be fighting for 2 and 3, because Antonelli was in the range. And Lewis himself said that if he had 5 more laps, he would have caught up to the Mercs. So there was space in the car. But the basic thing is, if Ferrari wants to win a championship, if they want to have a fighting chance, they have to look beyond the simulation. They have to be nimble and agile like Red Bull and Mercedes are. End of. McLaren showed with their Paparos that they can win a championship, but they like to create drama. Ferrari is not about drama. We just want a damn championship. Bloody hell. Please give us a championship.
You are talking like a Tifosi who is venting out his frustration. I am a Tifosi. So let me vent out that frustration. But okay, you have already done my job. All right, fine. I
I
agree.
needed to
I,
get this
I
out.
I agree with your each and every word that you have uttered right now, except that F word. Okay.
No, no, I
No, no, no,
apologize for
no, no.
that.
I agree with that. No, no. I completely agree. And
Editor,
I
please bleep out
second,
that word.
I edit, I completely, second your opinion. You are correct. You have to make bolder decisions, stronger decisions, if you have to win you have the championship. Okay.
Exactly.
But the way Charles drove was something which was again unexpected. Okay, he said that that is the best he could do. I don't know which best he's referring to, because
No, the second stint was
we
farcical.
clearly saw that in the last 5 to 6 laps, Lewis Hamilton almost closed a 7 second gap, 6 or 7
To half
second
a
gap
second.
to a 0.6 second. So
Exactly.
if he had a problem in the car, then Ferrari should have swapped those cars also and let Lewis attack Antonelli. Correct?
Exactly.
That should have been done again. But I somewhat disagree that that is the best Charles could do, because that is not acceptable. From the 33rd or 34th lap that he put the hard tires on, his performance was degrading. When he came out of the pits, the gap was 7.5 seconds to Kimi. That grew to almost 12.5 seconds or something like
12.5,
that.
yeah. 12.67 last I checked.
Right. So you have vented out 5 seconds of lap gap.
Exactly.
Okay. To a driver, okay, who probably is or is not in a same level of competitive car or above much higher competitive car, but the performance could have been very much better by Ferrari. Again, nothing taking away from Mercedes. They drove exceptionally well. Very good calls by them. George's inputs or Kimi's inputs were fantastic for the strategy. This is what they need to do. Charles should put his viewpoints out there, whether he has to take that particular call or not. He cannot depend on Ferrari and his race engineer to make each and every call for him. As a driver who's out there racing, has to make a call, like he did in Monza in 2024.
And like Lewis did in this race, do not pit me with Charles. Do
Charles.
not, like he just said, do not pit me right now. The tires are good. So this is what world champions know, and Charles has to have that knowledge. But yeah, you are right. He has to be a little bit more authoritative with Ferrari. I think it's high time now, because I don't think Ferrari can guide him to a world championship in this way. He has to be
See,
decisive. He has to be.
every world champion, if you see from the history, okay, has
They
some or
have
the
that inner
other way, they
bastard in
have
them.
dictated their terms to the team,
Exactly.
okay, especially on the track, okay. Be it
And you
Lewis
have to
Hamilton,
drive your race from the track.
be it Lewis Hamilton, be it Michael Schumacher, be it Nico Rosberg, or be it Sebastian Vettel or Alonso,
Max Verstappen,
Max Verstappen, anybody from the newest era to the somewhat mid era or anything like that.
Even Jim Clark, he
Everybody,
was
everybody,
the
everybody has been authoritative on the decisions that they need to make for them to win. Okay,
exactly
you cannot depend upon person who's sitting behind the computer screen to be exactly, their inputs are variable because
very
they have
valuable.
all the data in front of them.
But you
But
are
it
the
is you
driver on the
who's
track.
driving the car.
Exactly, you have the feel of the car under
Correct.
you,
You know your tires are good, bad, when
going
to
or
stop, how
yeah.
the other team's performance is. You make that all the calculations and then you take a call. So that way, Charles has to be authoritative, or he can forget being a world champion dream.
सो या अब ये ना थोड़ा सा ज्यादा डिटेल में हो जा रहा है. सो आई थिंक वी हैव डिस्कस्ड अबाउट द फ्रंट रनिंग टीम्स इनफ एंड we have left out some points which we said we will discuss later in this episode. So
Yeah.
coming to the very first point, that Red Bull, the new Red Bull way. So my point was Hajar qualifying P3 and Arvid Lindblad having that phenomenal race. So yeah, this is down to the driver as well. But I think that Red Bull pressure cooker has been subdued a little bit after the departure of Horner and Marco, because under them Red Bull was this high intensity pressure cooker where the drivers were expected to perform out of the box, right out of the box. But under Laurent Mekies and the new management, I think they are willing to give the drivers a little bit of a leeway time. And secondly, the rookie, Arvid being the only rookie in the grid right now, but still he had a very decent performance. And Hajar was also running very nicely during his race. If he had not retired, I think Red Bull would have gotten away with a P6 or P7. But still, counting Lando Norris, I don't want to count Lando Norris out, but still, if Hajar was a factor in there, I think Verstappen would have got Norris and they would have gotten a P6 and P7 behind the Mercs and Ferraris. So,
Every management has their own style of working. There is a shift of
exact.
management in Red Bull. okay, and that is being showing off, okay.
Yeah.
Right as soon as when Horner left and Marquez joined, we saw the performance of Sonodo rising,
Tsunoda.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Correct. So yes, it makes a lot of difference. Correct. The pressure of Marco and Horner not being there, I don't know how much was it the bottling situation or how much was their inputs to the second driver car or the first driver car. Don't know. But I'm sure Max will have his own competitive car. Okay. And there will
Um,
be second driver who would be in the mix for sure with him. That is all
there
I
will
can
be.
say about Red Bull.
See, over a season, Max will eventually become the faster driver, and the car will eventually lean more towards his style of development and his style of driving. That is very much inherent. And Sergio Perez also, don't forget, Sergio Perez also had some similar kind of pace levels during the early ground effect era, 2022-23. He was a genuine threat to Verstappen, but the Verstappen's influence, I don't want to get into too political things, but still, the Verstappen's influence in the Red Bull, I think it seems to have been neutered a little bit because of the departure of Christian Horner and Marco. Because Max's proximity to Marco and Yoss's was proximity to the management, but still, they went to the lengths of firing Marco and Horner and bringing in a completely new management. So yeah, this team is feeling again like that young Red Bull team, like that agile thing. Because from the past 2 years, this was feeling like a corporate sleeping giant. They were not performing up to their level. That the car had pace, but they were faltering strategically. I don't know what the inherent issues were, but I think there are very nice days ahead for Red Bull. This is a team which will be a genuine contender to the race wins and championship threats, even before Audi, I must say, even before Audi. But Audi is also getting a very good start. They scored debut on their first race,
Yeah,
and
first points very strong.
Gabby had the pace to compete with Gasly and Behrman. But
Correct.
if it wasn't for Colapinto, then he would have gotten P7, I think.
Okay.
There was space in that Audi.
Yeah, yeah. So all these drivers, Isaac Hadjar in Red Bull, who was
Yeah.
P3, P4 when he unfortunately his engine burned out,
Yeah,
or
exactly.
Arun Lindbard had a very good race. He was up to P4 at a given point of time, in the race.
He was fighting Hamilton at one point during the start.
Not Hamilton exactly, but he was there P4.
He was there
Okay.
or thereabout because he
Yeah,
closed his gap.
correct,
Yeah,
correct. I think he was above Kimi Antonelli after VSC first, and Hamilton was already way ahead. He was not fighting Hamilton, but he was fighting other racers. He fought uh, Norris also. He fought Verstappen also, and there was very good clean racing which he did. Okay. Behrman drove well, Gasly drove well, Ocon drove well. All these drivers, who were kind of stuck behind in the ground effect era before 2026 now are showing up very well. Good racing, Behrman, Bortoleto, and unfortunate this guys. Unfortunate for Hulk and Alonso to miss out.
yeah,
Eventually, even Bottas could not finish. Perez finished nice, and P12 or P13, something like
yeah,
that.
yeah. They were on the fringes of points.
Correct. So
And
this
for a new team,
very,
that
very
is
good
commendable.
race eventually. Again, heartfelt sorry for Williams and their fans. I expected something better from them this season with the reset of rules, with a strong Mercedes engine, but they have lagged something behind. Okay, and Honda have screwed happiness of everybody, whether it was McLaren, whether it has been Aston now, they have screwed everything up. So I will can only hope that Aston Martin can truly improve their performance in the coming days or something like that.
Yeah, the Williams is surely a peculiar case, but I think that team has had their fair share of problems, and this team is clearly on the up and up. And they finished P5 in the Constructors' Championship in 2025, but I never expected them to make that next step towards the front of the midfield given they have so much catching up to do technologically in their department side, technical department side, because they were managing the car builds through Microsoft Excel, like James Hall said a couple of years ago, and they have just started to incorporate those new kinds of processes which top teams operate on, and they're just getting to that standard. And yeah, because and they have the class leading power unit of the F1 field in Mercedes, and the people are there, and the processes are also in place. So I don't think Williams will have any problem in climbing up to the championship order. Alpine was a very big disappointment, and I don't want to elaborate on every team, but I think one team which I want to really elaborate on, and I really want I'm really pissed off at them right now. Aston Martin Honda. How can you go from a team which has the biggest and best talents in Formula One, and you have a team principal in one of the god tier technical genius in Adrian Newey, and a Honda partnership, which is a very stripped back partnership, I must say, from their Red Bull partnership days. But still, I expected a little bit better. Like where Audi is right now, I expected Aston to fight at least with Audi for the lower points position. And I didn't expect them to be like this. And this is drawing serious parallels to the 2017 season where the car was vibrating very much. They didn't have spare parts. And I don't think there is anything much more to say other than just disappointment. But yeah, this is a long season and I think they can improve. Like not from the not last to first, but still they can fight for the lower points paying positions with Haas and Alpine, I guess, and Williams. Audi will develop. Audi will have their own air, but I think the midfield is much more closer than we all thought.
Correct.
There was a there was a gulf shown in the Bahrain testing, but that and the major thing about these regulations is these things will vary from track to track because every track has a different set of energy demands, and that's what these uh, established drivers are saying. Ki, ki F1 is becoming much more of a battery management sport than pure racing action,
That
which
is
was
something
there.
which is coming up, but that's a discussion for some other podcast we may do.
Other podcast.
Yeah. So, you know, what I would like to say at the end, as my closing statement for this particular podcast is that um, this is going to be a great season to be watching for.
So, SJ, what are your key takeaways from this first race and what should we expect from this season?
Like I mentioned, just few minutes back, or few seconds back, rather, I would say,
Yeah, yeah.
my closing statement is that we are in for a very, very good season ahead. Okay,
A
it
damn
may
good
be
one.
it may be because of the rules or regulations or something like that, or for whatever reason it may be. Okay, I think we are in a very good season. Okay,
Exact.
in the next few coming years, the teams will enhance their car. They will be on top of the regulations. The other teams will catch up. So it will be much more better. Maybe this season, if you are seeing only one or two constructors fighting for the title, and it may not be a dominant season by a single driver or something like that. Okay, at least we would see something what we had seen in the Mercedes area of two drivers from the same team.
2014. Yeah,
This
yeah.
is minimum what we can see expect in this season. But next few coming seasons, I am sure 3 to 4 teams will definitely fight for championships, different ways. Okay.
I think convergence is the nature of Formula One. Convergence is always inevitable in Formula One, and I think this is what makes the sport so much interesting. And yeah, there are lots and lots of things
What
to
what makes this sport very interesting is the passion of the people
exactly.
who are involved with this sport directly or indirectly. Okay, whether it is a marshal on the track or people like us who are presenting our views in front of a laptop, right? It is our
Basically, we are
passion,
helping the sport to grow,
correct, in a way,
giving our
right? So it
feedback
can
in
be
input.
anybody, any person who is directly or indirectly involved in Formula One, which is a pinnacle of motorsport, are passionate for that particular thrill of driving, you know. So
That's
each and every
absolutely.
fan who is involved is there, and it is his or her passion which is allowing the sport to function what it is right now. Okay, there are
That's
some,
what makes it special.
yeah, there are some pointers here and there where we don't agree with somebody, you know. Okay, those are separate, but still, that
It's the
disagreement is
sport we
also coming
love.
from our passion only.
Exactly. Exactly. So I think this season will be a very, very exciting season. And I think and I hope कि this season turns out to be a proper Mercedes versus Ferrari battle. I personally hope to see that because what I saw in Australian GP, I loved very much because it was a very big, bold statement to the new manufacturer, Audi, or the new team that don't forget who the big boys are here. Please. Like this was a statement because the next car was 35 seconds off the pace and they were nowhere near there. So even if Max, if he would have started P3, P4 or P1, I don't think he would have been a thorn in Mercedes or Ferrari side because they have that inherent knowledge, inherent head start, as you said, inherent head start and inherent integration with the engine, which which they should thoroughly enjoy because they have been the most consistent manufacturers through the past couple of decades in F1. And it's very good to see Mercedes back on top. That smile from Toto Wolff said a million things during qualifying. So yeah, there are lots of things to pick out and lots of fun to be had. So if you like this podcast, please drop a like and please share this podcast with everybody you like and subscribe to our channel, please.
And we will
So
hope, and we will hope that
we
we will bring you uninterrupted series of podcasts in this entire season.
Yeah, entire season. This is our main target for this 2026 season.
Yeah,
One of our main targets for this 2026
correct.
season, so that we can give you more of our banters, more of our insights to you. So yeah, stay tuned. Thank you for watching, and good night, sayonara, bye bye, wherever you're
See
watching
you
from.
in
Peace
China,
out.
guys.